Ever feel like you're just drowning in like self-help stuff? Like every day, it's like, you should do this and you should do that.
Right.
It's exhausting.
It is.
So today we're going to try to like cut through all that noise and like look at the actual science of like how we change our behavior, what actually makes a difference, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
And the best part is we're ditching like the whole self-help guru thing and going straight to like a research paper.
Love it.
This is hardcore.
Hardcore research. No fluff here.
No fluff.
We're diving deep. This paper is all about like analyzing what really creates change. They looked at real behavior change interventions, so we're talking about stuff that's actually been tested.
Yeah.
And, get this, they ranked what works and what's basically useless.
Whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
You're saying there's like a hierarchy of like behavior change tactics.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Color me intrigued.
Yeah, you gotta...
Hit me with it.
Okay, so this paper, it's called Determinants of Behavior and Their Efficacy as Targets of Behavioral Change Interventions. Catchy, right?
Rolls right off the tongue.
I know. But it gets right to the point. It digs into, like, what makes us tick. And the first thing that, like, kind of blew my mind was that knowledge is way less important than you'd think.
Wait a minute, hold up. Are you saying all that time I spend like reading about sustainable living and like, you know, how to like save the planet, it's basically useless? Because, I mean, my recycling bin would disagree.
Okay, so useless is a strong word. But it might not be as big of a factor as we tend to think. You see, they use this example in the paper about climate change. A lot of people, they know about it.
Right.
They get it. Climate change, it's real. But knowing that doesn't always mean that they're suddenly, like, you know, eco-warriors, you know, chaining themselves to trees.
Right.
There's often this disconnect between what we know up here and then, like, our everyday actions.
Ouch. Yeah, no, that one stings a little bit, I gotta be honest. But I get it. It's like I've got, like, a whole shelf of cookbooks at home.
Oh, yeah.
But knowing how to make, like, a fancy French meal doesn't magically make me Gordon Ramsay.
Exactly.
So, okay, if knowledge alone isn't the magic bullet here, what's next on the list? Like, what's the next rung up this ladder?
All right. So think about those, like, well-worn paths that we make in our brains. You know, when we do the same thing over and over and over.
Okay.
You know, you drive home the same way every day. You brush your teeth the same way.
Yeah. Habits.
Habits. Those things. Super powerful.
So you're saying that, like, autopilot is more powerful than, like, conscious effort?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
So our brains are like little habit-forming machines.
They love a shortcut, right?
They love those shortcuts.
Yeah.
Okay, but where does that leave us when we're actually trying to, like, make a change on purpose?
Right.
Like, surely willpower has to count for something.
Right, absolutely. It does. It totally does. But see, that's where this paper gets really interesting. It's not just about, like, willpower in general, you know, like how much willpower you have overall. It's about your attitude, about the specific thing that you're trying to change. They actually call it out. They call it behavioral attitudes. And this, my friend, this is huge E.
Okay, behavioral attitudes. I gotta be honest, I'm not totally sure what you mean. Break that down for me.
Okay, so let's say you're trying to, like, eat healthier.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So you probably have a pretty good attitude about being healthy in general.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, health is good. I want to be healthy.
Of course, yeah.
But how do you feel about, like, swapping out your afternoon cookie for some fruit?
Yeah, okay.
You see the difference?
Yeah, no, I see the difference. It's one thing to be like, yeah, healthy in this kind of like abstract way.
Right, exactly.
And it's another thing when I'm like, staring down that cookie at 3 o'clock.
3 p.m. cookie craving, yeah. That's where those behavioral attitudes, that's where the magic happens, because it's about those specific moments, those little decisions. And what they found is if you can, like, shift your mindset from, oh, I should eat healthy, to, like, I actually want to eat this apple because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
That is way more powerful than just, like, trying to pump up your willpower overall.
So it's like connecting with the positive emotion of, like, the actual thing, not just the big idea.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense, because it's like, I might know that exercising is good for me, but if I, like, dread it, if I, like, hate every minute of it, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
Like, no matter how much willpower I think I have, I'm not going to do it.
And this actually leads to what they say in this paper is the most effective thing for changing behavior. It's even more effective than forming good habits, although that is super important too.
Okay.
It all comes back to shifting those behavioral attitudes.
Interesting. Okay, so we've talked about like our own mindset.
Yeah.
But like we don't live in a vacuum, right?
Yep.
So what about like our social world, like all that stuff around us? How does that play into all of this?
This is my favorite part. You know how like usually people think that the best way to get people to do stuff is to like lay down the law, make rules. Yeah.
Do this or else kind of thing.
Exactly. Like you would think that would be the most effective.
Right, and it seems pretty logical.
But here's the thing. The paper found that using legal stuff, or even just trying to build trust with institutions, it didn't really work that well.
Wait, are you serious? You're telling me that like something like a vaccine mandate, even if it's coming from a good place, it might not actually lead to lasting change.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah.
External pressure, it can only go so far. It kind of seems like it doesn't actually get to the root of why we do what we do. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so if it's not about like, cracking the whip.
Yeah.
What actually works?
Yeah.
What is the social influence that really makes a difference?
All right, so have you ever heard of this thing called descriptive norms?
Ooh, descriptive norms. It sounds very official.
It sounds very fancy.
Yes.
But really all it means is we do what we see other people doing.
Ah, okay. So like the whole monkey see, monkey do effect.
Exactly.
So peer pressure, not always a bad thing.
Not at all.
Oh.
Not at all. It's all about using that herd mentality to our advantage. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say you're trying to save energy around the house, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you get this report that's like, your neighbors are using way less energy than you.
Ooh.
Right?
I'd be like mortified. I would be switching to LED bulbs immediately.
Right.
Like that would definitely light a fire under me, I'll tell you that much.
And it doesn't even have to be about like shame or anything like that. Sometimes just seeing other people doing something, like if you see your neighbors recycling or composting, or you go to a friend's house and they're like all about sustainable living.
Yeah.
It can kind of nudge us in the right direction,
Yeah. So it's like we got to surround ourselves with those good influences, like curating your friend group to be like your own little personal peer pressure squad.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's be real. Sometimes we need a little extra motivation. So what about incentives, like rewards? Do those work? Okay, so like everyone likes a freebie, right? But are you saying that like dangling a carrot, it's not the end-all be-all of behavior change?
Well, you see, that's what's so cool about this paper. It really flips the script on how we usually think about this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, giving people like money or prizes, it can totally work, but usually just for a little bit, that doesn't usually stick. But what they found was that just making it easier for people to do the thing, to actually do the behavior, that was way more effective in the long run.
Okay, so you're saying make it easy, make it convenient, and people are more likely to actually do it.
Bingo.
Okay.
Think about something like getting vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
What they found was that setting up clinics in easy-to-reach places, having walk-in appointments, even mobile clinics, that made a much bigger difference than just offering people like $20 to get the shot.
Really? Wow. Although I guess it makes sense, right? Like I know for me, if something's too complicated, if I got to jump through a million hoops,
right,
I'm way less likely to do it. But if you make it easy peasy, I'm there.
It's all about removing those roadblocks. Those little excuses we tell ourselves, like, oh, it's too far, or it's going to take too much time. When you eliminate those, suddenly it's like, oh, well,
yeah,
let's do it,
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of making things easier, we got to talk about social support. I feel like that's huge. Like having your people, your cheering section.
Oh, it's essential. It makes all the difference in the world.
It does. Like whether it's your friends, your family, even just like a community group or something, knowing that you've got people in your corner, it's like rocket fuel for behavior change, you know?
Totally. And it's not just about having people who are like, yeah, you got this, and cheering you on, although that's super important. But it's also about finding those people who are right there with you,
Yes.
Like they're doing the thing too.
Your partners in crime.
Exactly. So it's about finding your tribe, putting yourself out there and doing it together.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground today. We've busted some myths about willpower. We talked about habits and social influence, even how important it is to make things super easy for ourselves. But for everyone listening out there, what's the main takeaway? What's the one thing they should remember?
If I had to boil it all down to one thing, it's this. Behavior change, it's not about being perfect. It's about being smart about it. It's about understanding how our brains work, why we do the things we do, and then using that to make real lasting changes.
I love that. Be strategic, not perfect. No more beating ourselves up for not being like, superhuman willpower robots.
Exactly.
We can work with what we've got.
Exactly. We've got awesome brains. They just need a little bit of a little bit of guidance sometimes.
A little owner's manual.
Exactly. Yeah. And the best part is it's never too late to get started. Every little step we take, every good habit, every connection we make, it all adds up.
Beautifully said. And on that note, until next time, keep those amazing brains of yours fired up. And remember, change, it's totally within your reach.